Riv on the blue side.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. I'm joined by the wildest of turtles that the world can offer of Team Immortals. The Immortals have been playing absolutely fantastic, just took down the Renegades. And Turtle, I gotta ask you, there seems like so much confidence just being exuded from this team. You look like you're playing with more confidence, everybody. What's that feeling like, knowing you can come into a game and always rely on the rest of your team?
It feels great. Like, I have full trust in my teammates. Like, I know even if I make like a couple mistakes, like they still have my back. So regardless of what's happening in the game, I feel like we all have trust in each other, and it just feels really good.
That's awesome. Going back to what the casters were kind of mentioning and finding win conditions and whatnot, Immortals didn't have too much of that on their team. You guys didn't have a huge engage and have a way to get into a fight. What's the actual way you guys find that? What's the role about going about finding the win condition and how you're going to get a game W?
Honestly, I think we just picked really OP picks. Like, we knew in the game, like, we weren't going to have any engage, and we're like, I think we just have really OP picks. We have Wave Clear for the mid lane against Corki with Victor, and then we just thought, well, we could just have to be at every objective before they do. So we could just take Baron, Dragons, whatever we wanted. And I think we just had really OP picks, so it was really easy.
Well, it works in your favor, staying one step ahead of the game, being Immortals. It seems like it comes easy so far. My final question to you, two-part question. What are you guys going to be doing tonight? Another win, 5-0 Immortals. What's tonight consist of before tomorrow?
I think we just gotta prep for tomorrow. I think we really don't want to underestimate any team. So going in tomorrow's match, like, we have to take Echo Fox like any other. We have to treat them like any other top team. So.
And final part to that question, just kind of what is the daily week, day-to-day for your week like? You guys solo queue a lot? Is it kind of solo things? You do your own thing? How does that work?
Actually, we're pretty laid back on Immortals. Like, we kind of don't have like a quota of solo queue or anything. We just do the scrims, and then we're pretty laid back. We actually go to the gym like every other day too. So I don't know. I think our lifestyle is pretty laid back.
Well, laid back, a 5-0 as well. Congratulations on the scoreline so far for Immortals. And right now we're going to throw it down to the analyst desk to break down day 1 of week 3.
What are we breaking down? Oh, day 1 of week 3. Got it. Well, fabulous win there for Immortals again, showing kind of their experience and their really solidifying.
Complete dominance of the league.
There you go. I was trying to find a nicer way to put it, just, solidifying their place at the top, right? Let's go with that. But as Wild Turtle mentioned there in the interview, they felt like they just got a bunch of the powerful picks here. And that's where I kind of want to jump into champions, like the Graves being left open, easy first pickup there for Immortals.
Yeah, and I want to go into this a little bit and not just be like, Puppy Graves, no, we lose. Because let's think about it a little bit. If you look at Renegades' composition here, they're running a super poke comp. They've got Corki, Nidalee, Ezreal, and Trundle for the pillar spam to set up all this poke. If you're running this super poke comp, why are you banning Janna? Even though it's Adrian's most played, they don't really care. Pokemons don't care about Janna. You're fine if they play it. It's even worse if they pick Soraka and they have
right, because now they can sustain through your poke.
They actually, instead of banning either Graves or Poppy, ban the Janna and then don't take either one of those on the first round of picks that they get. So they end up having to face Graves, Poppy, which not only, as Toto said, very strong champions right now, but also either of those champions can play either of the roles, top lane or jungle. You don't know which one they're going into, and so then Immortals can also mind game you as to which one. Huni's been playing a lot of Graves in solo queue, so he's very well versed on both of those champions.
Right.
And it just left them with so many options.
And to Riv's question about finding the win conditions and Wild Turtle's response, you have that Graves and the Poppy that you can flex into either position, so you're going to get him a favorable matchup in Graves in the top lane. You follow that up with crazy wave clear. Both Graves and Victor have great wave clear to deal with a possible siege, as well as Soraka to sustain through any of that poke damage. So they really did set themselves up well in Champion Select. Now, if we dive into the game, we had a kind of a similar situation pop up as in the Echo Fox game, where again both teams pushing down the sideways to begin with. Immortals realizing that they had a pretty large wave and they had pushed the first turret down quick enough that they could threaten the second one. However, the teams reacted differently in this scenario.
Yeah, this time was also a situation where one team definitely outclassed the other team, but this time Immortals, when they had this extra wave and they got to push down there quicker, they didn't keep everyone at that secondary turret. They made the call to send Turtle and Adrian back immediately so they don't lose any experience on one of the other lanes. And yeah, they still got some damage on that turret, leaving Huni there, but they didn't give anything up for it. They didn't have to lose out on experience.
Exactly. So, And Renegades too, though, also making a proper call. They go back, they save their secondary turret, so we're relatively even coming out of that lane swap situation. The first real falter came not too long after that at Immortals red buff. We saw a little bit of an aggro play by Renegades without full vision of the Immortals team. We have a clip of it, we'll pull it up. But this ends up netting 3 for 0 in favor of Immortals and kind of gives them the positioning and power they need to make moves for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and this is a situation where they have vision of each other, right? And Reignovers is sitting there waiting around, and you got to be wondering, what is he going for here? He completely took Remy out of this fight at the beginning. Half of her life right there with his combo. All he was waiting for was the rest of Immortals to show up to even the numbers. They knew, you know, at worst it was going to be an even numbers fight, and with the initiation advantage there, taking Alistar pretty much out of the entire fight at the very beginning. It was a pretty easy cleanup there for Immortals to chase him out of the base. So kind of the red invade, it was a good idea, you know, interesting idea to set up for because they got there first, but they didn't really have the coordination to pull it off.
Right.
And definitely lost a step there with Poppy chunking Alistar and getting Poppy level 6. Reignover,
That's what I was about to say.
Reignover rushing to that level 6 so quickly was basically the reason they were able to overpower.
Right, gives him the confidence to start that fight in the 1v2 scenario before the reinforcements arrive because he has that knock-up that he can utilize. Now we fast forward because this is an interesting thing here. Pobelter in that clip before the game was talking about how, if anything, Immortals' greatest challenge this split is going to be staying away from arrogance. It's going to be keeping themselves humble and making sure that they're playing smart League of Legends, not fast and loose. And we kind of saw our first example of them going a little bit ham in the top lane, 14 minutes into the game. You know, we saw the Reignover and Huni chase to get that kill, but so many resources were used that then when Renegades collapses here, they're in a tight bind.
I mean, this was one of those scenarios. We didn't see the very beginning of this, but Reignover and Huni just smashing the top lane so hard that they worked their way all the way this deep into enemy territory. As you see there, they barely missed out on that kill on Crumbs. It was
also, Soraka, please,
so close.
what is happening right now?
Yeah, nice champion. But look at that counterplay, though. They just
exactly.
They still killed him. Just took him a while.
But ultimately, they get a couple kills back here, and this was that example of where if Immortals does get into this place where they feel they can run over teams left and right, they'll find themselves overextending once or twice, and eventually that could be taken advantage of to a greater degree.
Yeah, fortunately for them, it was only the once this time. So
it was, just the once.
But it's actually really funny, too, because I watch Huni's stream a lot, and when Immortals are playing dynamic queue after their scrims, obviously they're much more loose and they're just having fun, but literally 90% of what Reignover says to Huni during those dynamics queue scrim or dynamic queue that they queue up for is, oh, slow down, whoa, let's go slowly, slow down. That's the only word that he says to Huni.
So you're telling
because
me
Huni just goes off.
So you're telling me the comms
people
there when they were chasing the Trundle down was just Huni being like, we're gonna get this kill, we're gonna get this kill, we're gonna get this kill.
Reignover was the one
who
banging
flashed.
people into walls.
That's true, and he flashed into base for that to secure that Trundle.
I feel like he was like, you know what? Don't slow down. Let's roll this one into the base.
Yeah. Now, I think the final caveat to all of this is that Renegade's still not playing with Freeze. Freeze will or is slated to be playing tomorrow, and so we'll see if that kind of team synergy comes back into place, because this was one of the teams that we were saying going in to the split has so much experience playing with each other that that's one of their greatest advantages. Well, they didn't have that the last few games that they played, so Freeze coming back in, we'll see how that unlocks the bot lane. And maybe improves Remy's performance, but definitely not having that Kalista. It seems to have been a bit of an issue now for them the past 3 games, not having the Kalista Alistar combo to start fights and save Remy from tight situations.
I think champion select in general has been really rough for Renegades because you do mention the Kalista. Last week when they got the Kalista, they first picked it, they gave up Gangplank to Gate. I believe that was the game, which is his most played champion, and he was like, great, that's the only champion I can play top lane well. I feel comfortable now, and then they lost that game. So yeah, definitely some things for them to work out.
Things for them to shore up. Immortals still looking very strong. Now, as we file those games away in our match history, let's check out how the standings look. In sole possession of first place, no surprise, it's still undefeated Immortals. Following behind in second is CLG, Energy, Impulse, and TSM. Tied for sixth is Cloud9, Team Dignitas, and Liquid, with Echo Fox and Renegades bringing up the rear. Looking ahead to tomorrow's lineup, we'll be starting it off with Team Liquid versus Impulse. After that, Energy will go up against TSM and will close out Week 3 here in North America with Counter Logic Gaming versus Renegades. All that goes live at noon Pacific, 9 p.m. Central European time. But stick around today for the return of the ULOL Campus Series where Champion University of British Columbia takes on the crosstown rivals Simon Fraser University. Now, on behalf of the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching. GG.